We've just had a really interesting session called The Case for Cables, and really looking at the legal and environmental framework and of course the role of the ICPC. I'm joined now by Keith Schofield and Dean Veverka. Dean, you chaired that debate very much around the ICPC. Give me a summary of the growing role for the organisation.
The organisation's been around for almost 60 years and we've seen exponential growth in our role, primarily driven by the fact that governments need to be involved. It's a private government partnership that needs to evolve because governments really control our activities, and we underpin the internet and everything with our critical infrastructure, which is now being identified as critical infrastructure, and the governments really need to understand that, learn how to protect it, and also learn how to enable us to work with other seabed users. So it's becoming a very important part of our work, engagement with the various governments, and even higher than that, the UN entities and NGOs that are now starting to creep. So it's a huge body of work the ICPC has to undertake now to spread our resources to enable that engagement.
So it's effectively a campaigner, Keith, to enable cable operators, cable layers, these kind of submarine companies, of which you're all part, to actually get their job done, especially in tough regulatory environments.
Well, the ICPC has a tremendous opportunity at the moment to engage proactively with other seabed users. But actually we're very, very fortunate to be a community of interest, not just an industry association. So we have governments who are members of the International Cable Protection Committee, and so actually it's more than that. It's a forum to exchange views, to develop best practice, and to engage with other seabed users. And that's one of the things that's tremendously exciting, by getting 155 organisations across 60 countries together to deal with those issues and actually to engage proactively with other users.
And effectively it's managing the seabed. I mean, over history, over time, there's been an awful lot of cables laid down there. There is concern, environmental concern, about the use of cables on the seabed, and I guess it's your job as ICPC key executives to be able to send that message that, well, look, you know, we don't really have any more damage, any more kind of impact to the seabed than, say, fishing or any other activity marine-wise.
Actually, we're very, very fortunate in the ICPC to have a huge body of peer-reviewed scientific research that demonstrates the benign nature of cables on the seabed. So in fact, it's very, very different from some other uses of the seabed, such as fishing or mining, which actually are invasive, whereas cables are, certainly in deep water, are non-invasive and benign. And I'm fortunate enough personally to have been involved in recovering a cable that was deployed for 22 years, and it came up in pristine condition. So in fact there's no degradation even on the seabed. So certainly as an organisation we've got an opportunity to get that message across, to engage with other users and to ensure that they're aware that the cables that power the internet are actually benign, not harmful to the environment, and certainly something that remains a disruptive and exciting technology that's reaching many more communities across the world.
And lastly, Dean, getting that message across about the crucial role of cables powering 98% of global communications, obviously data, telecommunications, that's really a big job, isn't it? I mean, to what extent is that now becoming a central priority for the ICPC?
I think one of the misunderstandings from governments and people is that somebody must own that infrastructure, but it's not. It's owned by individual companies. So trying to corral all of our members, etc., to provide a single voice is difficult for one thing, and we all have competing commercial drivers. But it is critically important that for the future of our industry to get that message across, and we can only do that through regular education and engagement, and it's continuous engagement. As you know, governments, etc., they have a short life cycle, so you think you've done your job, got the message across, and we then have to re-educate. So it's an ongoing, and will be an ongoing effort.
Progress is being made?
Progress is being made. I think people are starting to understand that it is a critical infrastructure. Countries can be cut off, and we've seen that when we've had large-scale breaks in Taiwan, 17 cables cut, and literally Southeast Asia, went dark in terms of their financial ability to cope with things, etc. Tsunami in Japan is another one. So governments are starting to look at that and look at, what is driving the internet, what's driving their financials, and what's driving the socio-economic advantages and developments of countries. So I think they're waking up to it, but it's an ongoing process and will be for a while.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.